tonight we got a special guest. We got WGR550 Sal Capaccio. Welcome, man.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. Dude, I'm so excited to have you on. First and foremost, you just had a great experience. You just came back from Australia not too long ago. I just want to ask, what was that like?
It was wild. It was great. I mean, like traveling there and traveling back was just crazy as far as the time, because it was literally, we went to Toronto, then flew to Vancouver, which was a 4-hour flight. And then it was 15 hours on a plane to Australia. On the way back, because of the way the wind is and all that, and the earth, it was 14 hours on the way back, and then 4 hours flight. So, I mean, on the way there, we left on March 28th, but arrived on March 30th. I never experienced March 29th. It's kind of crazy to think about, right? That's how long. Anyway, it was great. We have friends who live in Brisbane, so we stayed with them, and we got to hold koala bears and feed kangaroos, and it was really cool, man.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I was gonna say that's not a lot. That's a lot of things that you can't do here in Buffalo, New York. So that's awesome
right.
to hear.
Yeah,
one
cool.
One really awesome thing that we saw on Twitter, and I kind of heard you touch base on a little bit. I watched the Eric Wood podcast that you were on, and you went to a rugby game. And my question to you is, obviously you go to all these NFL games, you cover all these NFL games. What is the atmosphere like with these rugby games versus these NFL games?
Well, unfortunately, we didn't go to like this really big game. We went to a big game, but it was a professional game. But they even said to us, they said, they have a 55,000 seat stadium. They said, we're probably going to be at like half full tonight, because the team we saw, the Brisbane Dolphins, I actually had to root for the Dolphins, guys. The Brisbane Dolphins, they're a second-year expansion team, and they have a really good support, but they were playing a team that wasn't that good. So they didn't like have like, it wasn't like this huge, incredible environment. But I guess when we left, they were playing the other Brisbane team. There's two New York teams, two LA teams, or two Brisbane teams. And I guess they played and had the sold out crowd and all that. We didn't see that. At the one we were at, though, was still, everybody's into it. I mean, very cool. It was not like as rowdy as an NFL game, but certainly as passionate. Like, people were very into it. I really love the pomp and circumstance. Like, before the game outside, there's tons of stuff going on outside the stadium, like the fans, the parties and stuff like that. Like, just the events they were doing. And then once you get inside, and they had like fireworks and smoke on the field and guys running through it. So that part of it was very cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I was definitely curious, because I mean, not that we get to catch a lot of rugby, but that had been a pretty cool experience to kind of be able to see.
Do you know a lot of like rugby rules? Because I didn't know a lot, much of it all before I went.
Truth be told, Sal, the only thing that I honestly know about rugby was Christian Wade. That's right. About it, if I'm being fully transparent.
Totally get it. So you always see these guys pitching the ball and getting tackled. I'm like, I don't know what I'm watching. So very quickly, what happens is in rugby, so in football, you have 4 downs to get a first down, as you know. In rugby, you get 6 tackles to get it over the goal line. So once a guy's tackled once, that's 1. Then you can keep it. Then he's tackled 2. So by the time you get to like 5 tackles, you're not going to get in. That's when you see them kick it. And if you kick it and your guy runs under it in the end zone before the other team, that can count also as a score, or you can kick it on the ground and do that. But anyway, that's what you get. You get 6 tackles to try and get it over the goal line.
Now, I guess to this, the only other question I have about that is, I've seen the guys like they run like underneath the goalpost, like they'll dive underneath the goalpost. When that happens, is that the only way you can score through the end zone, or can you like on the other side? So
what you have to do is, I wonder if I have a ball here. I don't know if I have a ball with me. I could show you, but you have to take the ball. Let's just say this thing. You have to actually push it and hit it out and touch it on the ground for it to count. It's not about crossing the goal line like it is in American football. The ball literally has to be put on the ground with your hand with pressure for it to count. So if I cross the goal line and you're defending me, you could try to hold me up so I can't put the ball down. And if you take me out of the end zone, it doesn't count.
Interesting. Wow. See, this is just the things that like you just
amazing, right?
That's actually like kind of really cool to hear. This is just something I didn't really think about when it came to rugby versus football. Travis, I know you had something for him.
Hey, Sal, appreciate you coming on. I just want to touch on 2 players. Elam, he's been in the lab this offseason. He posted on Instagram today. His caption was Kaizen. It's Japanese for change for the better or have continuous improvement. I've heard that Sean McDermott preaches Japanese philosophy a lot. What kind of season are you expecting out of Kaiir Elam?
I really don't know because could go either way, right? I mean, he really has to step up into a bigger role and a better role. Now, the funny thing is when he's played, he's actually made plays, right? We've seen that.
Right.
He intercepted Patrick Mahomes his rookie year, and then he had the big interception in the Miami playoff game, and then he had the big interception last year in the playoff game when he had to play against. But then we've also seen times where he's gone against like Jacksonville and Calvin Ridley, and he got torched all game. So I expect Kyrie Elam though to, just like he always has, kind of do everything he can to be the best player he can. I just don't know why it hasn't translated for him well enough to be able to play. Now, I would tell you, I think we can read the tea leaves that him and John Butler, former Bills DB coach, didn't see eye to eye. The Bills brought in a new DB coach. His name is Jameer Adai. And I think that maybe that will be a good change of scenery for him. Maybe what he needs is a different set of eyes, a different person around him, and how he goes about things. So I'm very interested on how the new DB coach and Bobby Babich as a new defensive coordinator kind of work with him, and maybe he can elevate his game because he certainly needs to, because it's now year 3. And so far, I think we could be safe to say if he hasn't been a bust, he's at least been a guy that has been not nearly what you'd expect from a first round pick.
Hey, Sal, first and foremost, thank you so much for being here. I'm a huge fan, listen to you every day. So this is,
thank you,
for me, quite an honor. But we had the pressers today.
Yep.
I was just kind of wondering your thoughts on kind of the biggest takeaway points. Obviously, Bean didn't spill any crazy beans, or no pun there.
No pun intended.
But yeah, kind of your biggest kind of talking points from Bean, McDermott, and Allen.
So we'll start with Brandon Bean.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get every year. He's going to say the same thing, guys. He's going to say, we'll move up, we'll move down, we'll stay. Like whatever happens, happens. And I agree with that. I don't think he's lying. I mean, you never know what's going to happen on draft day. But the wide receiver talk is what we always talk about. And I think we all know that they need a wide receiver. They need a number 1 wide receiver. He kind of downplayed that today. And that's where I think, I think he's saying it so he doesn't lose leverage with teams, meaning, I'm not going to say Brandon Bean's a liar, but what you do this time of year, right? You say things because you don't want people you don't want to tip your hand. And as much as he says, hey, he admits they don't have a number 1 wideout now that they traded Stephon, but he said, but we don't need one necessarily. We can be successful without one. He said, his quote was, I don't sit here thinking we have a gaping hole. I think he looks at it and thinks he really still needs a number 1 wideout. And I don't think he wants to tip his hand and have a team say to him, hey, you said it, you need one desperately, so I'm going to drive the price up. We're going to trade for a draft pick or a player or something like that. So to me, that was one of the big takeaways. He also did say, and we usually get a very honest answer from him every year about how many first-round grades they have. You never have 32 first-round grades. Guys, I've talked with people in the NFL for many years who said this, that you never have, no team ever goes into a draft, they set their draft board, and they have how many guys with first round grades and then second round grades. Nobody ever has 32. So if you're picking 28, it's hard to get a guy. Generally, you actually have a first round grade on. And he said, we don't have 28. Now, there's also going to be guys taken they don't have first round grades on. So by the time it gets to them, they may actually have somebody they have a grade that high on. But that's interesting to me because what if you get to 28, all your first round of grade guys are gone? Maybe they do trade down. Maybe they try to get a little bit more value later. I think it was interesting he about all that. As far as Sean is concerned, the big tone, I think, for all these guys, and Josh included, but Sean really talked about the change in leadership, guys. There's a huge change in leadership on this team. You think about, as of now, no more Micah Hyde. I don't expect him, but you never know, right? That could still happen. But no Micah Hyde, no Stephon Diggs, no Gabe Davis, who was a captain, no Jordan Poyer, no Mitch Morse. I mean, no Saran Neal, no. Think about the amount of leadership you're losing in that locker room. And Sean spoke a lot about the transitioning of leadership and Josh Allen taking on even more of a leadership role. He's already a leader, but he's been working on that part of his game even more so. And guys moving up and being, better leaders and more leaders and finding new leaders. And then you think about, they bring out Terrell Bernard to talk to us, right? So you get one guy on offense, that's Josh. Then you get one guy on defense, that's Terrell Bernard. He's a third-year player who's going to be calling the defense, middle linebacker. Terrell Bernard's got to be a big leader for you this year. So I just think, to me, the big takeaway from Sean was the leadership aspect and how he really kind of has to start over here at creating a new culture and creating a new leadership culture within the locker room. And that's what he's doing. For Josh, Josh talked about the same kind of thing, but having new faces, new voices, new people, and the challenge of he's excited for that challenge. He's excited to be a leader for a new group and to bring new guys in. That was a big thing for me today, just listening to him talk about, it seemed like Josh had, and I don't want to make this like, oh, Stefan's gone, so Josh Allen feels better. I don't think so, but I do think when you have somebody as good as Stefan, leave the locker room, it can go one of two ways. You can sulk about it, or you can look at it as an opportunity. And I think Josh is looking at it as an opportunity with a bunch of new guys that he can kind of mold as these wide receivers going into this offense. And I think that was really, evident today, the way he spoke.
100%. It's, correct me if I'm wrong, but only Josh is the only captain on the team from last year as of now.
I have to go back and look, but that sounds right. Now, of course, because they haven't signed Tyler Medikevich, but he is a free agent. I think Reed Ferguson might have been a captain the last year, was he?
Yeah, Reed, yeah.
So him and
right?
Yes. Reed, yep.
So I think that might be it. But they have guys. Look, I mean, Deion Dawkins is a leader. You don't have to. You don't have to have a C on your chest to be a leader. Right. And maybe these guys do, but Deion Dawkins is a leader. We know that. Rasul Douglas is a leader, and he was only here for half a year last year, right? But he's a leader. You have leaders on that team and in that locker room. I think the question is how you lead and what form that leadership takes. It doesn't have to be. We talk about this all the time. We've been talking on my Extra Point show with Joe DiBiase about the Sabres and leadership and what they need. And as I always say, you don't have to be a person who just gets in someone's face to be a leader. Sometimes you can be a leader because the way you act, the way you conduct yourself. Sometimes you can be a leader because you are that person who kind of stands up and, gets more to be a little bit more passionate. Leadership can take all forms. And I think that they have those guys, but now it's about Sean McDermott and the offense and the defense, finding those guys and who the leaders are and what way they want to lead.
100%. Yeah.
One more guy for me. My favorite player on offense, aside from Josh, these guys can vouch for me. Khalil Shakir. Every time he makes a play, I just scream Boise effing State. He's coming in this role, maybe wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. What are your expectations for him coming into his third year?
Yeah, third season.
Third season.
When
his name is called, he makes plays.
I expect a big jump from him. I do. I expect a big jump because of what we saw last year in the second half of the year. As I'm talking to you guys, I'm pulling up the stats. I don't want to say them wrong, but I think he had 2 100-yard games last year. And I want to make sure, at the end of the year last year, 115 against the Jets. Remember the one down the field? Yep. Sauce Gardner was kind of in the coverage there, and that made a big deal about it. And then at the end of the year against the Dolphins, week 18, 6 targets, 6 catches, 105 yards, 17 yards a catch, right? I mean, like, the guy made plays. I agree with you. So number one, I think that he just showed that he could be productive when given an opportunity, and he stepped in. He was far more productive than really Stephon Diggs or anybody on offense in the second half of the year. Now he also had more opportunity because teams are focusing maybe on Stephon and the way the offense works. But I do think that. But the other part of it, guys, I just think he's going to get opportunity. I mean, look at the depth chart right now. Right now, it's Curtis Samuel and Khalil Shakir, your top 2 guys. And I don't think anybody's necessarily going to supplant him as the top slot guy. I think it's year 3 now. It's time for the Bills. The Bills are going to say, look, we have this guy. I don't think they're going to necessarily draft over top of him. You'll add, there's no doubt about it, but I think that they feel comfortable enough where Khalil Shakir is going to step into even a bigger role. I love Khalil myself, as just a guy who talks to him in the locker room. He's a military kid. His dad, I think, was in the military. He grew up, understanding, how to go about his business, the leadership aspect of it, how to be a part of a team and play a role. I think all of that matters, when it comes to blocking and running routes, those kinds of things. When he was drafted, we were told by people at Boise State who covered him that he's always the first guy to take accountability, to step up, win or lose. He's going to talk to the media. I love that about him. Like, he never ducks anything. He's right there to tell you, exactly what happened and try his best to kind of, help you do your job. And I always appreciate that as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sal, we were tossing this question around before the podcast started, and we were kind of curious. Obviously, you cover Bills games for the whole season, and we're curious to, where's your favorite away stadium to travel to?
It's a great question. I've been asked many times. And I think that the answer lies in what, there's different ones for different reasons. First of all, let me say I've been to all but 3. There are 3 stadiums I haven't been to. And the reason why I didn't go to the 3 I haven't been to was because of COVID and we didn't travel that year. Right. I would have gone to San Francisco that year, didn't travel. Remember the game was moved to Arizona.
Yep.
But I also haven't gone to Arizona because they played that year. And I haven't been to Vegas yet. So what really sucks is the last 2 years, Arizona and Vegas, where the Super Bowl is, if the Bills had made it, I'd gone to those stadiums. But obviously that didn't happen either. So there's only 3 I haven't been to. And I've been to some stadiums that aren't even in existence anymore, like the LA Coliseum. And then when the Chargers played in that weird soccer stadium a few years ago, the Peterman game, you remember. Listen, I know there's different ones for different reasons. Like I said, I mean, you go to LA, you go to SoFi, it's just incredibly massive and beautiful. And it's an event, right? It's Hollywood. It's great. It's not something I would want here in Buffalo because it's not as intimate and passionate. But for that reason, like just how cool looking it is, like looks like a spaceship you walk in. So that's been very cool. I do like Houston and NRG because it's big, it's loud. I think it's a little bit too big, to be quite honest with you, but I like that part of it. But, I like the intimate stadiums and the ones that you can have a really good environment and you can have, good sight lines and things like that. And believe it or not, one of my favorite is Gillette. I like going to Gillette. I think it's a really good spot to watch a game, to be on the field. It's pretty intimate. Now, the crowd isn't like Buffalo, right? They're spoiled. And, a few years ago, they were literally booing the Patriots off the field at halftime. And I'm like, dude, you're so spoiled here. It's ridiculous. But, the other thing about Gillette is it is the best visiting booth radio location in the league. It's literally like the Bills have probably the second best behind them. And it would be the best. But what happens is in Gillette, literally, I walk out of the radio booth. I just walk about maybe 20 yards and then right down. I can walk down on the field by going right through the aisle. Can't really do that at any other stadium to be able to do that, but it's very close. It's down low. It's behind the visitors bench. So it's behind the Bills bench. That's one of them. I'm trying to think of some other ones that I've been to, but those are the ones that come to mind. There's always going to be, fun ones to go to for that I don't get to visit very often. You know what I like a lot? I like Detroit. If the Bills were ever going to build a dome, which they're not, we know that now, I would want it to be like Detroit, not like Houston, not like some of these. Detroit, it's Ford Field, smaller, intimate, right in the city. I really like it.
Perfect. Yeah. I never would have thought about the whole fact of the whole COVID thing. Never even honestly, didn't even think about the fact that you would have missed out on some of those.
Well, and and I'm lucky. This will be my 11th year on the sidelines. I'm just very lucky to be in this position I'm in and to do what I do. I mean, I look back and I think the longest person who's ever done the radio sidelines before me might have been like 2 or 3 years at the most. For me to be on my 11th year, that's why I've had a chance to visit a lot of these stadiums. Right. So it's very cool. And then, just different cities you go to as well. Right. It's not just about the stadium. Now, this is in no way a complaint because I love my job and what I do, but as opposed to the other media who doesn't travel with the team, I travel with the team. Like if you work for the Buffalo News or Channel 4, Channel 2, whatever, you travel on your own to the games and they can go on a Friday and spend kind of a weekend in the city, Friday, all day, Saturday. I travel with the team. We fly out on Saturday afternoons for a Sunday afternoon game. So when we get there, I can really only spend several hours in that city before the game and then flying home.
Wow. So you fly with the team.
Yes. I'm on the team plane, stay in the team hotel. Yep.
Nice. One last little quick question. Just because this got tossed around at work, everybody's been I've been telling everybody, we're getting Sal on the podcast.
All right.
Have you heard anything about the red helmets? Are we going to see him potentially? Do we have anything from Sal here?
I don't think anything's coming this year. Now I will tell you, I don't. Ron Rakuya, last I spoke to somebody about this was Ron Rakuya 2 years ago, before not this 23 season, but before the 22 season. Ron is no longer with the organization. So, I don't know, things could have changed, but the way he explained it to me, I think was just an organizational thing. And I know the rules have changed a little bit in the league over the last week or so. Even we had some rule changes, but basically what he basically told me was, the only way the Bills could have done it a couple of years ago is if they really would have wanted to do all red head to toe. And they didn't want to do that because the rule was your third helmet had to be the same as your color rush or something. There was something about that they didn't want to do that. So look, to me, I'm wondering if maybe, and I don't know this, just my speculation. I'm not reporting this or anything saying I have inside info. I'm wondering if they only want it, if they're going to wait till the new stadium to unveil something like that. I wonder if that's something that they're going to do, but no, as far as I know, I don't think they're planning on anything necessarily, with red or different this year.
Fair enough. And then lastly, Sal, we ask all the guests to pop on the podcast, especially of our local Buffalo guys. What's your top 3 wing choice? Your go-to wing spots?
Well, I'm not just saying this because they sponsor my Sal's House video cast, but they do. But it is a great spot. It's not far from me on the west side, Niagara Street. It is Sports City Pizza Pub. Don't know if you guys have been there, but it is amazing. They have like 40 different flavors of wings. They're incredible. They have great pizza. And I actually will tell you, it's one of the best spots to go in Buffalo to watch sports. They have TVs everywhere. No matter where you sit or stand, there's a TV you can watch sports going on. So Sports City Pizza Pub on Niagara Street.
Never been.
You like that? So you guys got to try that out.
I was there once, and it
yeah.
was the best experience I've had, like watching a Bills game outside of my house or at the stadium. So I can agree with him there.
See, there you go. So they sponsor my Sal's House podcast. So there you
That's
go.
awesome.
Really good people over there. Where would else? So, I mean, I know that not everybody loves these as much. I like Gabriel's Gate's wings. I've been there. I haven't been there in a while, but I do like to go to Gabriel's Gate. I do like their wings. I think they're really good. Of course, Bar Bill has great wings. Elmo's really good wings. 911 Tavern, all the normal spots that everybody likes to go to. I would say that I go to. I have a kind of a hot take on wings a little bit, which is I don't think it's hard. Like I guess you could screw them up, but a lot of them are the same in Buffalo. You know what matters to me more? Size of the wings. Size matters, guys. Size of the wings matters. I do. I think that like a lot of the sauces, you get a lot of the sauces some places and it's hard to discern. I could tell you that one place is better than another. And I love the different variety at Sports City, like I said. But honestly, you go to a lot of these places, if you go to Elmo's or Bar Bill or Sports City or Gabriel's Gate or whatever it is, a lot of times they're all kind of the same in a lot of ways. To me, the size matters. You know what else? Imperial has really good wings as well in South Buffalo. I like them. So that's my hot take on wings. I don't know. I'm not like enough of a wing snob to say, oh, this one is so much better than the other one. Give me a nice size wing and just, do it up in the way that you do wings and you should be okay.
I like it.
That's going on our board.
I was gonna say we like it.
We're
gonna say we'll put on. We got the little board over here. We'll put sales size matters.
Size matters. Dot. When it comes to wings.
When it comes to wings, there we go. There we go. Appreciate your time tonight, Sal. We were super excited to have you on. We love your work and thank you for coming on.
No problem, guys. Thank you. Enjoy the draft. I'll ask you guys a question before we go. Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I got a couple minutes here. All right. You go around and you each give me a prediction on who the Bills are going to draft, or maybe if you have a prediction on where they're going to draft, if you think it's something that they might do different than where they're picked at 28.
Ooh. Okay. I think that's awesome. That's awesome. First off, thank you. I'm going to start us off here. I've teeter-tottered, right? Like, especially after trading Diggs, like everything's changed. We break down the draft every week, and everything's changed over the last month here. And I think I've fallen kind of in love with Ladd McConkey a little bit.
I like it.
I like Ladd McConkey. If they pick him at 28, am I upset? No. Would I like potentially a trade back, get some more draft capital? I would love it, but give me Ladd McConkey.
All right.
Yeah, like you, I've tossed around because it's lying season, what Tank says. So we don't know what's happened. So we did a mock draft last week. We traded back. We got Ladd McConkey and Ricky Pearsall back to back.
Woo! I love it.
Straight heat.
So I think past drafts, we might just stay at 28. If a receiver doesn't fall our way, maybe defensive line.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'll go D-line.
That boy Johnny.
All right.
John Zell Newton.
All right. These guys can attest to this. For months upon months, I have been saying we got to go up and get Brian Thomas Jr. I've been in love with Brian Thomas Jr. As things kind of unfolded here, I'm on the trade back train. I like Travis said in our latest mock draft, we were able to grab Ladd and my favorite receiver, second favorite receiver in the draft, Ricky Pearsall. For me, I just really want Ricky Pearsall on the team.
Okay. He's really good. Yeah. And I think he's not just a slot guy, right? He can play as a slot. He can play outside too a little bit. I think he can do kind of everything, right? So I like Ricky Pearsall a lot. There's so many good. How about Tank? What's Tank got? Has he got anything?
Come on, Tank.
Hey, I got I was just like, I'm on the same boat as Chris. I think Ladd McConkey's the guy if they stick at 28, but I can see a scenario. You know that Carolina ties. You know what I mean with Brandon Bean, Sean McDermott. Maybe Carolina trades back into the first round after that flop of a trade they had last year. Maybe trade back with the Panthers, and it's either going to be Ladd McConkey or maybe Xavier Worthy. How do you like that one, Sal?
I like Xavier Worthy. He's growing on me more and more. And one of the big reasons, guys, is because he's also a return man. They don't have a true return man on the team right now. They have guys who can return, but they don't have like a Deontay Hardy from last year. They need a guy. And I think Xavier Worthy could be a guy that they could say, we can draft this guy. He's really fast, obviously, and he can return for us as well. So that's good. All right, I got you. I got Chris for Ladd.
Especially with the new kickoff rules too, you know?
I know, right? I agree. So I got Chris and Tank with Ladd. Tank says trade back with the Panthers coming up. Travis has Brian Thomas Jr. and John has Ricky Pearsall, right?
Boom.
Yes, sir.
You got it. You got it.
There we go.
That's awesome.
Right.
There we go.
Well, don't be surprised if I tweet that out, okay? So you guys know.
Oh, dude.
Please do.
You do. We'll be so happy. It'll be awesome.
All right, you guys tag me when you post this, and I'll tweet out what you guys said about the drafts, and you guys can. We'll see how right you are.